Alright, so guys, this is a big one. I am pretty excited about this. If you guys have been following my channel for a while, or if any of you guys are still out there, because I post very far and few between now, but I had to make an exception for this, take time out of my busy schedule, my busy life, to talk about what's coming to a game that I still play daily, which is Metalstorm. So there was a private event for content creators that was opened up over the last couple of days, and I got access to the build of the newest update that's going to be coming out on June 2nd for everybody. And I gotta say, after playing it, I am like stoked beyond belief, because it completely changes everything about this game. Some of the caveats that I wasn't too fond of, to the point where now it feels like the perfect blend of the old Metalstorm I loved before some certain changes like cruising altitude and alterations to interceptors, to what it feels like now. It's like this amazing mashup that feels so good to play. So I'm going to go into detail on all the key changes that you can expect going forward with this game, because it is a lot. When I first started up the game, initially I was very like overwhelmed. It took a little bit for me to kind of go through the menus and figure out what I was looking at and figure out what I'm doing, and played around with some planes and played around with some missions. And I gotta say, it's great. So, without further ado, let's get into it. So here I am in the build that they provided to all the content creators first, which is the maxed out build, meaning that everything we have in here is completely unlocked, fully maxed out, every aircraft, all the way to level 20, every mod, everything totally maxed out, allowing us to completely experiment and see how all these changes take effect when you mess around with the settings. So looking at the Mirage 2000 as an example here, you can see the aircraft, the main menu here, like this like aircraft menu looks exactly the same. You can click on this and see your stats, which are represented a little differently now, and you can see something interesting like this, right? Top speed 1723. Okay, one of the biggest things that I've noticed in terms of changes to this game is just how much faster you can fly now, and it's amazing, but I'll get to that a little bit later when I'm actually showing you some gameplay. So everything here looks the same, but as soon as you click upgrades, you get your traditional, here on the aircraft tab, the traditional linear pathway that existed the whole time. You can see your hit points increases, right? This is exactly what has been happening in the game currently. The base game is you see your hit points, your health increases as you go through the levels, and then you unlock your ability slot, your passive slot, the mod slots, etc. But along with that is you would unlock weapon, or you would get weapon increases in damage as well. Your cannons would do more damage, your missiles would do more damage, your rockets would do more damage, and it was all linear, all on the same one plane. Now though, once you get to level 4, which I haven't gotten clarification, so I'm going to make an assumption here, but I'm assuming that system unlocks means that you're now unlocking the rest of these tabs. Could be wrong. Maybe the developer will chime in the comments and clarify it. Maybe I'll get clarification for a future video, but it seems like that's the case. And then you have access to these, which is 1 through 8, right? And you'll notice halfway through, there's a deviation. It splits. So you have your hit points that increases, your afterburner fuel increases, you get additional speed, additional acceleration, you get more hit points, and then bam, now you can start speccing into 2 different trees to kind of adjust the aircraft to the way that you would like it to perform best. And this goes for the engines as well. This goes for the avionics, the cannons, the missiles, rockets, whatever else you have. It's kind of insane. So I'm going to do a quick demonstration. I like maneuverability, right? I don't really care about my health too much. This allows me to turn even like crazy, like attack planes like an intruder into a very maneuverable aircraft. It's actually wild. So I'll just show you the Mirage for now though. So I like to pump everything into maneuverability. So I'm sacrificing hit points. I'm sacrificing some fuel reserve to have a higher turn rate. I'm getting rid of some speed and some hit points for a faster turn response and a faster roll rate. Losing a lot of health for that. Same thing applies here. Higher turn rate, less hit points, losing fuel regeneration speed. Here is hit points, acceleration. Depending on the aircraft, I might play with these two. I might be like, okay, I have enough health. I'm going to spec into this to get higher more corner range, which is that like yellow bar on your speedometer, like on your speed. You see like that's the ideal turn rate or turning speed for your aircraft. That extends it by 50%. And then you also have a higher turn response again, but then you're losing more fuel. Whereas this, you'll get a bump in some acceleration and hit points, but then you lose the roll rate, which kind of undoes this one a little bit by about 5%. So there's this give and take balance you can do. The engines, personally, I haven't found a real need for these ones. Like I tend to spec into wanting speed and acceleration. Again, more afterburner speed, more afterburner acceleration. This one, you get acceleration up here, which is just raw acceleration, and your afterburner speeds increase. But then here you can have a higher acceleration, but better cruising speed, but you lose your afterburner. So like there's all these little trade-offs, as you can see. This one I like more than this one because I don't really care about cruising speed. I don't care about cruising fast. What I care about is being able to accelerate quickly to get up to a top speed and to decelerate quickly to get down to a lower speed. So this allows me to do that in spades. And when you combine it with certain mods, your aircraft will perform in ways that will make you feel amazing inside. But regardless, you got your avionics as well, which of course, you know, you can spec into having more defensive parameters or more offensive parameters, like being able to spot targets much, much further away. And then your cannons, this is where it gets juicy. This is where you can really do some really cool things. So, and it kind of depends on what kind of cannon type you have. So this is obviously like a regular cannon. This is not like a Gatling gun style cannon. You can see that there's damage here, and then there's even higher damage, but what do you lose? Aim assist. So aim assist is usually pretty strong in this, and you can actually, and I will spec certain things all the way down like this, losing aim assist just to gain this ridiculous damage output. So I'm losing like 80% aim assist to have a much higher damage output. And for missiles, you can see it's the same idea. You know, you got your damage increase, your turn rate for the missiles, the acceleration for the missile, and then you could spec into like having more range, right? Or more damage. And there's all these little statistical changes you can see in the top right. Now, I'm one that, depending on the aircraft I'm flying, I'm either going to go for I want higher damage output. So I would choose something like this. I would be focusing mostly on damage. I don't care about anything else. And for me, that's the priority, depending on the aircraft, obviously. Sometimes you want to be able to shoot much, much further away. You can actually go above 13 kilometers with certain aircraft and certain missile types, exceeding what you can currently do maximum in the base game of Metalstorm. So it's pretty interesting. But one thing I want to point out is this here. You can pull out this little tab menu, and you can see your overall, how each tab is affecting the statistics of this aircraft. This to me, and I hope the developers take note of this, because this is something that I think is really important for the average player, for just people in general. You want this to be more readable than this, because when I'm looking at this, I'm seeing, oh, plus 124% damage. Ooh, you know, like that's on my missiles. Like, but plus 180% of what? Like, what is the overall number that is changing in the end? Because telling me I have an increase in hit points by 40%, I think I'm good. But then when I'm actually speccing into this, and I'm losing all these health points, I don't actually know what the overall health of my aircraft is unless I go back and then click on this and then see the changes and see I only have 154 hit points, but my top speed is higher. And then you can consult this. I feel like this, everything here, these metrics where you're seeing the actual changes that are occurring should be visible within the upgrade screen. I should be able to pull this out and not just see percentages, but see the actual value change for every individual thing under the aircraft when I'm scrolling through them. I feel like that would make it much easier to fine tune while you're in this screen, especially when it comes to like fuselage. Like, do I want this or this? You know, like I want to know what the actual hit point difference is so I can determine if I can survive a missile hit or if I'll die instantly, and I need to think about how I want to spec this plane. Do I want to avoid getting hit altogether, or can I absorb a missile and take on like a head-to-head merge, knowing I can survive one hit from another aircraft depending on what their specs are? I think that's very important to have. So without further ado, let's just jump into a very quick game. with the Mirage 2000 and demonstrate just how ridiculously lethal this thing can be now. So here we are in priority target. As I usually do, I check to see if anyone's a player, but admittedly, because this is a private event, I haven't actually been matched with too many people. I think since I started, the most I played with was like 3 people across like 8 different matches, and ever since I haven't been able to play with anybody. But as you can already see, I'm already peaking at like ridiculous speeds. So I'm gonna dive down here. Like how fast you can go now. And this is the Mirage 2000, which already isn't like that fast of an aircraft. And now you can see just how deadly these cannons are now. They were already super deadly. But because of the upgrade I put on them, sacrificing aim assist. Wow, my cursor is like stuck in the game. What is going on? Just gonna melt this guy too. And this guy. And this guy. Or I'm gonna miss. There's my ace. Covering buddy. Kind of annoying that my mouse cursor is just like showing up. That was close. Had to pop chaff there just to be able to avoid this guy's incoming missile. And we're gonna wrap around this way. Oof. Like, look how fast you could just zip away. You know, like, this is the one thing I absolutely love, because it reminds me of back in the day when I was playing this, like, years ago. I'm talking, like, 3, maybe even 4 years ago. When you had the MiG-20, or sorry, the MiG-31, the Foxhound, being, like, the fastest jet in the game. And you'd be playing air superiority, and you'd just be zipping back and forth, hitting these speeds. And when they made their changes and got rid of it, it just felt like, okay, all my interceptors feel slow and laggy now, and it's not as fun. Oh wait, this guy's right behind me. In fact, I want to do one of these. Kill that guy. Kill that guy. Ooh. See, I was able to survive 1 missile hit. I don't think it was a direct hit, which is probably why I survived. Because when I make my aircraft super maneuverable like this, by speccing into maneuverability, roll rate, all that kind of stuff, the one thing that happens is you'll notice you become extremely, extremely squishy. Meaning you will die very easily. Gotta dive to get out of here. Pull back up. This F-15's coming at me. Take out this F-111. Oh, what the hell? Oh man, that missile, he survived it. Here, we'll just finish him off nice and quick. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, this feels insane. This is like so much fun. Get some fuel. Turn around. And we're gonna win the match now. Like, I mean, yeah, it's bots, right? But just the performance of this aircraft now is ridiculous. Like, I mean, like, look at that. 20 kills, 0 deaths. Not even in regular Metalstorm could I ever pump out these kind of statistics. Like, these numbers with the aircraft that I have, because it just doesn't perform that well. The maneuverability, the damage output of the cannons, like, Now, I'm squishy. You know, I get hit by a missile, a couple of cannons rounds hit me. Chances are I'm going to die horribly and very quickly. But if you can avoid getting hit, that's the trade-off, right? You're trading health for maneuverability, and I feel like, for me, I like maneuverability. Being able to turn all these super heavy aircraft, medium fighters, heavy fighters into feeling more like a light fighter is the greatest thing that they could have done for me in this game. Now it's like my problem is going too fast all the time. I have to rein in my speed. In the prior version, in the base game of Metalstorm, one of the biggest issues I had was like trying to avoid burning all of my fuel, my afterburner fuel, because you're constantly, it felt like you're running in water. It's like the best description I can give for you is it felt like you were running, like attempting to run in water. There was so much resistance against you as you were trying to push your afterburners. You weren't ever topping out at the speed. You just never really felt like you were. It's like accelerating the speed of light. The closer you got to the speed of light, the more resistance you're hitting. It's just not happening for you. That's how it felt, where now it feels more like I'm flying. It feels more like I'm driving an F1 car, where I'm accelerating the top speeds and I can decelerate really quickly and accelerate, and I have plenty of afterburner fuel in reserve because the speeds are sustained once you get there. And that is the biggest thing for me, is not bleeding your speed so aggressively like you used to, especially when you're turning. Like, there are some aircraft now where you can be turning as hard as you possibly can, like the F-16, in a perfect circle. You'll be turning aggressively as hard as you can and hitting the afterburner, and you're actually gaining speed as you're doing it instead of bleeding it all the way to nothing. Which is nuts, because that used to never happen. You would only ever lose speed until you have to pull out of the turn. That doesn't happen now, and it feels a lot more like you're flying these aircraft like how they function in the real world, and I'm here for it, and I love it. So that wraps up this video, guys. I don't want this to be too long. I have more content I'm planning on releasing to talk about more aircraft and more things going forward. A little bit more into details on the upgrade path as well. But this is the first video I wanted to get out, just kind of briefly showcasing like the main attraction, which is Upgrades 2.0, and just how insane some of your aircraft can perform now. It's a game changer, quite literally. This is probably the biggest thing to happen to Metalstorm since I've started playing it a long time ago. And I mean, I've been playing this game for a super long time. So I'm really enjoying what I'm seeing. The developers are on the right track. It's going to be a little bit more interesting as we get closer to the release, because obviously this is just early playtesting. Things are subject to change. Statistics will change, like percentages will change. Costs of upgrades will change, which I'll get into another video at some point in the future with the other build that I have access to. And I'll go over the details then. But for now, my name's been PepperBelly. Thank you guys for joining me on this video, and I'll see you in the next one.